Why I got a hair transplant at the age of 38. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Luke. I'm based in East London here in the United Kingdom. And over the next 12 months, I'm going to be documenting my hair transplant journey as honestly as I can, because having the procedure is actually the easy part. The real TLC and the real maintenance comes afterwards if you want a really successful transplant. So, just a couple of days ago, literally 2 days ago, I'm fresh back in London. I had my transplant surgery done at Cosmetica, which is based in Istanbul. And I had 5,000 grafts. So they took a lot of hair from the back and really did focus on my receding hairline, which is a massive issue for me. Just a quick glance, this is what we're looking like. So I've had my receding hairline done. I've even had it brought out to the sides. Quite difficult for you to see where actually my hair still exists. But trust me, if you can't see it, there's hair there. So from the top, close up, this is day 2. Okay, and I'm going to do a little spin. All right. So around the back, my transplanted area, get the old collar down. And back this way again, from the top. So yeah. And I've washed it. It's been washed twice. And I tell you what, can't fault it. The surgery is now behind me. As I said, I'm back. The recovery has officially begun. But before I start about the procedure itself, I thought I'd make sense to explain why I decided to have a transplant in the first place. Because the truth is, this wasn't a decision I made overnight. Now it's July, I actually booked all of this back in January or even December, I think, around Christmas time. Because since the pandemic, so nearly 6 years ago now, I started to notice that I was losing quite a bit of hair from obviously the frontal region. My hairline had completely gone back. I was seeing parts of my forehead I hadn't seen for a long time. Actually turns out there's no baldness in my family. My father, full head of hair all the way up until when he passed away in his late 70s. I've got 2 older brothers. None of them have got any issue with baldness. Turns out, since the pandemic, I'd actually been bleaching my hair, bright blonde, basically. And I really generally liked the way it looked because my eye colour, my skin tone just looked very fresh. But because I was constantly thinking, oh, my roots are coming through here, I'm going to get it done again. What I actually done is I completely destroyed the hair that I had. So I'm not, this is not natural baldness that's happened to me. This is actually destruction. And I think, all stylists out there, I know, there's probably a few that are, or maybe a family member, or maybe you are one yourself, but there really does need to be a caveat out there because not everyone is a suitable candidate for having their hair dyed. When I say dyed, I mean bleached, because it really does damage your hair. So, put 2 and 2 together, no baldness in the family. What changed? So, bleaching my hair. Also, I was washing my hair probably every other day. So, I'd have 1 day on, 1 day off, where I was actually washing my hair all the time. I'd completely destroyed it. Literally, it was falling apart. So, what do? I mean, do I just ride out the storm and just go with it and think, you know what? Sod it. I'm just going to let it do what it does. And I'll get a nice hat. Let's put it that way. Or I'm 38. Do I sort it out now? And that's exactly what I thought I need to do. Because if I leave this any longer, although I'd stopped bleaching my hair, I think, there is a point in where I've got to bring it back and get a good routine in place where I can actually maintain and keep the hair that I already have, as well as the new transplants. So that's the motivation for me. Damaged hair, no baldness, I've got to do something about it. I don't want to leave this until, I'm 45, 50, 60, because this is quite a traumatic thing to go through for your body. This is not just, a simple procedure. This is actually quite a traumatic thing to do. So you're taking hair follicles out and you're redistributing them somewhere else. And skin tissue, like anything, is very, very sensitive. We've also got a lot of muscles in our face as well. Swelling, medications that you're on, things like high blood pressure, heart conditions, all that kind of stuff. It's all a factor into it. So my best advice to you is go and do some research. Think about your general health as it is. And just think, could you put yourself through this? Because as I've already explained at the beginning, my recovery journey has only just started. I've got another, 6, 12, maybe a year and a half in front of me before I get this in a way where, it's done and I can live with a nice, beautiful set of hair. So, yeah, a lot of factors involved. Don't leave it later than you need to, because everyone's health changes all the time. And you just got to make sure that you're doing the things that are best for your body. That said, Cosmetica, how did I find them? So they have an enormous social media presence, okay? But so do all the others. There's a lot out there that is just, tailored to just getting the clientele through the door and kind of like, just to make it just a money machine. However, I must have researched maybe 20 other clinics in Turkey, but also the ones here in London. And what actually came out to me from Cosmetica is the sheer amount of successful and the experience and skill sets that they have in their clinics. I mean, they have done more than, 20,000 procedures. It's all documented. They've got photos, they've got videos, they've got blogs on there, everything. Not only that, their setup is so professional. From the point of contact, so when I reached out to them, there was no pressure for me to sign up there and then, okay, when are you coming? This is how much it was. No. Proper questions, about your health, about your situation, what you're looking to get out of this. And I think that really impressed me, because the other clinics that I'd approached, it was like, okay, here's a PDF with all the procedures and here's the costings involved. Which really does kind of like think, well, hang on a minute, don't you want to know about me first before I give you anything? Or vice versa. So yeah, they really just shine out to me, and they've got so much experience. They've got a really professional setup in Istanbul. I mean, this is the first time I've been to Turkey, and these guys, they know their stuff. They take all the precautions necessarily to protect themselves, but also, to make sure that you are feeling protected and obviously cared for in that kind of environment. Because, for example, my brother, I think he's only been to hospital once in his entire life. So the prospect of having something in a clinical setting where, you're not used to this in kind of environment, it can be very, very, stressful and a lot of anxiety going into it. No, Cosmetica, they make sure that you are tailored for your needs. They look after you. The staff are there. Language is not a barrier. I mean, obviously, my first language is English, but when I arrived at Cosmetica, I think on that day when I got into the clinic, there were 10 other guys, because we all turn up at the same time. They drop us off. You've got Russian, you've got Chinese, Latvian, quite a few guys from the United States, which really did shock me, because I thought, well, California is probably the best place to have this kind of thing done in the US. You think about it, like Hollywood. But no, they are coming to Cosmetica. I mean, there was even one guy, it's come all the way from New Zealand. This guy was so determined to get the best quality product in terms of the procedure. He come all the way from New Zealand. That is absolutely crazy. But that's to the credit of Cosmetica, because that's how far their reach is. So that's what really sold it. Well, sold Cosmetica to me anyway. Again, this isn't me saying they're the best clinic in the world. This isn't a paid promotion or anything. I'm just saying I did my research and I didn't rush into it. It wasn't like, oh, Monday I reached out to them. Oh, Tuesday, okay, well, let's get it all booked. No, I reached out. I got the information from them. I took that away. I went online. I searched. I rang around. And they really did impress me with everything that they offered. One thing I would say for internationals who are thinking to go to Turkey, one thing I did, and I think it's probably the best advice I can give you, is take advantage of consultations that are free, or if you have to pay a small fee for them, in your home country. So here in London, we have some clinics in Harley Street, which obviously is the top medical place in London. But equally, here in East London, we've got some in Canary Wharf and the Docklands area. I reached out to one of these after I'd been in contact with Cosmetica. And I thought, you know what, can I go along and basically get their honest opinion? Because they're Cosmetica is in Istanbul. They are not going to see my hair up front, face to face, until I get there. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I went to a free consultation. They took photos, got me under the microscope, all that kind of stuff, and actually said, yeah, okay, you're a good candidate for this. I came away with a sense of relief for that, because I didn't want to put myself through the process of signing up for something if a professional in my home country, and at least it's almost like kind of getting a second opinion from a doctor. So yeah, have a look, see if you can get some free consultations, even if it's just to put your mind at ease and just give you a thinking, you know what, this is going to be worth it. There is potential here to do a good transplant. So yeah, take advantage of it. I did. And I felt very much better for it. Not only that, you can be a little bit cheeky. And if they take photos, because they will chalk you up for your free consultations in your home countries, hopefully. Mine did. Get the photos off them. And what I did is I packaged them together and I shared them with Cosmetica. And already they were starting to thinking about how many grafts I'd needed. And from that, how many days I would need in Istanbul and what kind of, what support I'd need around me. So yeah, have a look before or even during the time when you're doing your research, get an opinion. What is it actually like to get a hair transplant? The real version. What hurts? What doesn't? How long does it take? What happens afterwards? That's one of the reasons I wanted to create this series. I want someone watching this 6 months from now to feel like they generally know what to expect. Or if you're going through the journey yourself, something to relate to. Because, everyone is completely unique. And there are going to be situations where you think, oh my God, is this normal? Or, you might get bleeding or something, who knows? But yeah, I just want something that you can just relate to. So that's the purpose of my series. And, I'm going to be covering the good bits, the uncomfortable bits, the boring bits, everything in between. And one thing I also wanted to say in this is absolutely nothing wrong with losing your hair. Millions of men embrace it. And to be quite honest with you, when I got to the clinic, and after my consultation, they're like, right, okay, let's get started. Let's go and shave your head. To be quite honest with you, I'd never had a shaved head before. And after they whizzed it all off with the old buzz cut, I looked in the mirror and I thought, God damn, I look good with a buzz cut. But that's not what we're there. I was almost tempted to say, right, you know what? I'm going to keep my money and I'm going to go home because I look bloody good. But, you know, embrace it. Hair transplant is not for everyone. Some people look generally good with, you know, a scalp cut or whatever you want to do. But for me, I love having hair, although I do look good with the old shaving on. But yeah, I knew what I wanted. You know, I do like being able to style my hair. I live in London, so, you know, temperature's not an issue. You know, everyone's reasons are different for hair transplant. For me, it was about confidence. Not because anyone else made me feel self-conscious or they're like, oh, Christ, your hair's going a bit thin. You know, are you on the way out? No, nothing like that. Actually, far from it. When I had mentioned in conversation, like, oh, I'm probably thinking of having one, they went, no, what the hell? You know, you don't need one. It's entirely my own decision. In fact, you know, as I've been enlightened to, most people I spoke to said you do not need one, and maybe they were right. I should have just embraced the way it was going. But this wasn't about what other people saw. It was about how I felt, and I looked in the mirror. And sometimes we do things for ourselves, not because we have to, but because we want to. And not only that, I thought, you know what, this is not necessarily a new procedure, but it's well established. And I thought, you know what, I want to try this. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now that the surgery is over, I can honestly say that I'm really pleased that I went through it. Was I nervous? Oh boy, yes, was I nervous. Did the injections hurt? Yeah, they did. Was it a long day? Very much so. Do I regret it? Not for 1 second. And that's being honest. The journey is only just beginning. And over the next few weeks, my transplanted hairs will probably shed. They will go through the awkward stage where it looks like nothing is happening. Then hopefully over the following months, everything will begin to grow. I'll be documenting every stage, the successes, the frustrations, the milestones, everything. And if you're considering having a hair transplant yourself, I hope you'll come along for this journey. And if you've already had one, I'd love to hear about your experiences as well. Thank you so much for watching my very first video in this series. And in the next episode, I'm going to take you through the entire surgery day, from arrival to the clinic in Istanbul with Cosmetica, through the consultation, the injections, the procedure itself, and what it was really like spending almost, you know, nearly 12 hours having around 5,000 grafts transplanted. Trust me. There were a few surprises. So if you'd like to see that, I'd love to subscribe and join me over the next 12 months, and we'll see how the transplant develops. Thank you again for watching. Take care. See you on the next video.